Welcome all astrology family. This is G, and we are going to break down the next June eclipse. It happens on the 21st, 1:41 a.m., and that is Central Standard Time. So adjust for wherever it is that you live. When we look at an eclipse, we go right to the sun. You see it down there in the sign of Cancer at 0:21. That reads, the sun in Cancer, 0 degrees, 21 minutes. The moon in Cancer, 0 degrees, 21 minutes. Eclipses bring change. When we talk about the sign of Cancer, this will help us to further understand what that change is going to look like, where it happens in our life. Who's going to be part of that? Who isn't going to be part of that? How it will affect us. The understanding of the eclipse is that it's a reset button. It is a time where changes occur, where they make us reevaluate, rethink, have to change the path that we're on, have to readjust, sometimes our goals, sometimes our home. And that is what Cancer energy is all about, home, my tribe, my family. This can symbolize your physical home. And I'm going to explain and break all that down as to how we can better understand in our own chart. If you like what you've heard, if you like what you're hearing, tap the thumbs up, go down below and comment. Comment and let me know how you're doing. Comment also if there is anything at any time that you don't know what I'm talking about, you need clarification. It doesn't matter what level of astrology you're at. You may be like, hey, this is my first time. And that's absolutely fine. My goal is to meet you wherever it is that you're at. That is the whole beauty of astrology. The entire chart is each and every one of us. Someone says, yeah, but I'm an Aquarius sun sign. And I'm a Scorpio rising. And my moon is a Gemini moon. And it's like, yeah, those are the three main things. But take a look at this, folks. Look at all these other planets. You're all of this. And not only are you all of this, there are spots in your chart where you have signs, right? Sagittarius, Scorpio, Libra, Virgo, Leo. There's no planets there. But all of this, all of the signs make up who you are. You see that you have houses that have no planets in them. You have planets there. I'm going to teach you how you can know what planets are there. Some of you already know all this. If you don't know, comment below. All right, so let's get to this eclipse. The eclipse energy signifies change. Eclipses, especially this Cancer eclipse, let's dive into the sign of Cancer. Cancer energy, family, home. It's your inner emotional community. Who is it that you need to have in your community that gives you a sense of emotional security? The sign of Cancer, when we're really, really young, it's connected to the bond that we have with our mother. And so the sign of Cancer, Cancer's ruler is the moon, which makes this eclipse even that more potent. There's actually multitude of things that make this potent, because if you're looking, you see here, I've got the moon at 0:21, the sun at 0:21 in Cancer. We also have Mercury at 14:25 in the sign of Cancer. Now, not far from the eclipse point, 0 degrees Cancer, is our 29 degrees north node in Gemini. If you've been following along on the videos that I've been doing, you know that Gemini had just spent the last, or I'm sorry, that the north node had just spent the last couple of years in the sign of Cancer. And that was, again, a lot of people changed where they live. A lot of people, you know, there were losses in their family. There were additions to their family, because it's family, whatever that is. And it doesn't have to be blood relatives, right, folks? Now, North Node moving into Gemini, even though it's at 29 degrees, it is still close enough. We're going to give this eclipse a 3-degree orb easily. And that North Node, right, it's only 1 degree away. It's right there. So the North Node is where we're headed for the next 18 months. Will be really, really, really a big focus in all of our lives is going to be talking, thinking, speaking, how we communicate, how we relate. And this is within our community. Now, these communities can be physical. They can be people literally within your everyday environment. So this could be your folks at work. These could be people you go to school with. These could be your next door neighbors. Definitely people in community. Gemini, this Gemini energy represents short trips. So it's in our immediate environment. It's in our community down the street, down the block, right? Maybe even the next town over. But it's definitely close by. It's definitely something where you can walk or get in a car and drive. But it's not the long road trip thing. You know, that's that opposite energy, which is over there in Sagittarius, right? That's the one who's going for the long journey. This is the short journeys, okay? This is your community and your neighbors. It is also social media. It's the internet. But what do we do on social media, right? This is really a big symbol for social media. We go on there and we talk, we relate, we communicate. That Gemini energy is how I think. Looking up Gemini in your chart will tell you, well, first of all, find the planet Mercury, because Mercury rules Gemini energy. But wherever you see Gemini and wherever you find your planet Mercury, it tells you a lot about the thinking that's going on and what the current focus is. So right now, the transiting Mercury at 1425 shows us we are thinking about family. We're thinking about home. We're trying to figure that out. Now you see at 1425, there's a fixed star I have marked on the charts that I like to do. I like to keep track of these fixed stars. They move so slow, they call them fixed stars. But some of these fixed stars are quite magical. This is Sirius, S-I-R-I-U-S. Sirius is known as the divine feminine energy, mother, goddess, feminine archetypes that we relate to. Some say it's the Mother Mary energy. Yeah, white buffalo calf woman, Guadalupe, Isis, the Egyptian goddess. There's all these different divine feminine energies that we can attribute this to. The Mercury on top of Sirius, when we have this eclipse, is a really good indicator of what's going on with the Gemini stuff. Because again, in your own chart, find out where this Gemini energy is, what house it's in. But then to understand how that Gemini energy works in your house, you go to look for where the Mercury is in your own chart. Because then wherever Mercury is and the sign that it's in tells you. So right here, Venus being in Gemini. So Venus is what I value, what I love, right? And it's thinking about that. But then if I want to dig deeper, I look where the Mercury is and it's in family. It's my emotions, my feelings. That is the sign of Cancer, my feelings. And understanding that better. Mercury's retrograding. See the R down there? That represents retrograding. The eclipse change at 0 degrees. What I love about this eclipse is many are calling this an Inception eclipse. So it's definitely a kickoff point. It's definitely a beginning. There's multiple reasons we have 0 degrees. All right, 0 is the beginning. We start at 0, then we go to 1. It's a progression, a steady progression from that point on. We are also in a cardinal sign, Cancer, okay? I look at this point truly as a point of conception. I know that's kind of funny, but it's not, because we can't look at just this when we talk about the eclipse. We have to understand we've got Venus, who's on the 21st still retrograde, but 4 days later her retrograde ends. She stops at 5 degrees, and then she goes forward. Just so everybody knows, I want you to really start honing in on the things that you value in your life. You might be changing your values, and know this is what you're supposed to do. The eclipse we're having tomorrow, the June 5th eclipse up there in Sagittarius, is all about my beliefs and my opinions, my freedoms, my religion, my philosophy on life. It's about freedom, justice, law as in the letter of the law, courtrooms, lawyers, and all that stuff. Foreigners, foreign lands, foreign countries, foreign language. Definitely it's the sign of higher learning. It's that arrow. I keep shooting higher and higher. Gemini or Sagittarius, the ultimate seeker, never stops seeking for wisdom, and future. This is my future. Because it has this very expansive, I can see from way up high. I'm in the air, I can see from way up high, and I'm getting the macro picture, so I can plan for my future. When we know what Venus is doing, Venus is opposing the eclipse that we're having tomorrow, which is how we make changes. And that eclipse on the 5th, June 5th, was all about what we let go of, what we were releasing, beliefs, opinions, ideas of what we thought freedom meant. What is your definition of freedom? It's a big release point. So then we go down, right? A couple weeks later, June 21st. The whole time after that eclipse happened, and even before that, June 5th, Venus was retrograding. And when a planet retrogrades, it goes back to, it's like a rerun. It watches something again. It goes back to a place it's been before. It has similar experiences. It has to review something. It has to go over something. It's like, you know what? Can you hand me that file? I think I missed something. Or, you know what? I watched that movie again. Oh my God, there were so many things I didn't catch the first time. I reread the book. I caught this a second time. You know, that's what this retrograde is, regardless of what planet it is. That's what retrogrades do. We go back and we get to capture, we get to see something, we get additional information we didn't get the first time. Because let's face it, life is so complex. It's really hard to get it all the first time. So Venus goes back, and knowing what Venus means helps us to understand. So Venus going backward is, what do I value? Do I still value this? Do I still need this? Do I want this? This can include people because Venus rules our relationships. Venus is the ruler of 2 signs. She's a co-ruler of the sign of Taurus, which is my desires, what I want, my money, my income, what I bring in, and the sign of Libra. Libra is our relationships, my ability to not only relate, but my ability to compromise, to be fair. That is Libran energy, to be fair. That's important. Equality is important. So Librans, typically, they know what it takes to make a relationship work, and they're willing to do it. They're willing to meet you halfway. But they really want things to be peaceful. They want things to be beautiful. Now remember, folks, energies have multiple ways that they can express. They have vices and they have virtues. There's extremes for every sign. And some of those extremes, well, they're not so fun. And some of the other ones are beautiful. Our goal is to always try to get a state of equilibrium. That's that sign of Libra, equilibrium. So Venus trying to figure out what she values compared to, you know, it's this thing of what do I need versus what do I want. My wants and my needs aren't always the same. And, well, I need what I need. I don't necessarily need what I want. So Venus on the 24th is going to be reborn. She's going to begin a brand new 8-year cycle. And that's a big thing. Realizing that relationships, desires, what I need, income, love, Venus rules love, how you receive, not just love, but prosperity, health, abundance, money, goodness in your life. Venus is all about that. Being in Gemini, being in her community all the way until August of 2020, which, by the way, folks, is very, very, it's not normal. We have a lot of really different things happening in 2020. I don't have to tell you that, and you don't have to know astrology to know that we've got some major, yeah. I saw a really funny thing on Facebook that my goddaughter had posted. You guys have all probably seen it. It was Marty McFly and Doc. And Doc was, you know, had that crazy look in his eye, and he's looking at Marty. He's like, whatever you do, don't go to 2020. You know, and I thought, damn, that is genius. Because, you know, 2020 has been a bit of a different year. And here's the bigger picture. It is this eclipse, folks. This eclipse really does. This eclipse is a beginning point, okay? It is a new birthing, okay? Now, I called it a point of conception because of what Venus is doing, because Mercury is on top of Sirius. We're having divine downloads at this time. And this, you know, eclipse energy, especially this one, you know, depending upon the duration of eclipse energy and the location of it based upon something in your own chart. Like, do you have anything at, we'll give it a 3-degree orb. So do you have anything at 27, 28, 29 degrees of Gemini? Do you have anything at 0, 1, 2, or 3 degrees of Cancer? If you do, this becomes a bigger deal in your life. It becomes more obvious. Also, look at the opposite end of this energy, and so that would be the 0 degrees between Capricorn and Sagittarian energy. So that means we're looking at 0 to 3 degrees of Capricorn, and we're looking at 27, 28, 29 degrees of Sagittarius energy. See if you have something there. If you do, then you're going to understand, okay, that's why this is happening in my life. That's what's going on. This is a change. All the stuff we've been facing, right? Like there's just not just protesting, but rioting. And it's not just the protesting and rioting. It's all the other layers that have all of a sudden jumped in and have always existed, stuff we weren't as aware of, but that's just kind of added more wood to a fire that was already burning. And so we're really being divided as a country. But the eclipse energy is more about this conception, this point of conception is this divine download of family, of unity. We are not as different and as separate as certain groups, as certain, whoever they are. Division is not within us. Like this is what astrology teaches. We are all of this. We are one family. And that's what this point of inception, of conception, of initiation is. This is a global initiation. This is a global elevation. It's awareness. It's an elevation of your consciousness. It's an elevation of your growth. But it's almost like I call them the degrees of my being, because to me, it makes the most sense. And then I came along and started really diving into astrology, and I thought, oh my God, this whole time I've been saying the degrees of me. Well, holy crap, right? Look at astrology. We look at degrees, and so it makes sense, right? It's literally degrees of who we are, degrees of our being, our consciousness. Uranus, the grand awakener. And that's what Uranus's job is, to wake us up. It says, you know what, you thought something was one particular way, but guess what? Take another perspective here. And many times, depending upon where we are on our path, it might, instead of a nudge, right, or instead of a whisper, sometimes something has to like really, unfortunately, sometimes we get the deer that crashes right in through our windshield. All these are different examples of how the universe speaks to us. That's why I always recommend for folks to really pay attention to the animals and your surroundings. Pay attention to nature. It's our greatest teacher. It's free. It's free. And there's so much wisdom there. So this is a moment of birthing, and this will start to evolve more readily in the next year. All right. So are you moving away? Are you leaving your own home? The only time I would tell people that this is going to be affecting your physical house, is this in your fourth house, right? Are you an Aries rising, and do you have Cancer in your fourth house? Or are you a Cancer ascendant? Do you have Cancer on your ascendant? Many times if there's an eclipse on your ascendant, or if there is an eclipse on your IC, it could be very likely that you're moving. Does it mean right this minute? No. It depends if you have other planets there. It depends if things are square. I mean, there's a whole lot of other things to look at. You need help, you don't know, and you want to know. Comment below. Okay, so Mercury is going to be receiving information, downloads. The sun at 0, we're getting these really elevated frequencies, these neutrino beams coming in. It's a time of understanding our unity. It's a time of understanding that we are divine beings, but we really show our growth. We really show our promise when we band together. That is where our real power is. And so when you think about it, whoever it is that want each and every one of us to divide us by our color, to divide us by our gender, to divide us by our beliefs, to divide us by where we live, by our money, right? And guess what? No. Deity, source, we are all babies of source, each and every one of us, right? Every one of us. And so that's what this is, and this is what we are going to be carrying with us. This is what will be in the womb of the earth, so to speak, is this little itty-bitty fetus that's going to grow. It's going to be this representative. And when I say fetus, I am speaking symbolically. But this symbology represents our emotional security about home and our family and our tribe, our feelings, being more empathetic, having more compassion, being more accepting, being open to receiving communications, being willing to talk, being willing to reciprocate, not being so focused on the opposite of Cancer. And guess what the opposite of Cancer is? Let's go up there. It's Capricorn. Capricorn is the 3D tangible realm. Things that have been built up over long periods of time. They typically represent not just regular everyday old business, but big business, big government, because it's structured, very organized. These are all Capricorn words. Very responsible, very hardworking, following the rules, but never ending striving. Capricorn is that goat walking up a vertical incline like, holy crap, how is that possible? Endless work, an endless drive to elevate. This is Capricorn energy, but very responsible typically. Typically individuals who make good bosses, who are the CEOs. Saturn is the ruler here. If you've put in the time, if you've put in the work, you get the rewards. But it's in the 3D realm. Now, this can take a higher form, a higher expression of energy, folks. And that would be considered esoteric astrology. We're going to stick right now to the exoteric, so to speak, astrology. But yes, I am dipping into a little bit of the other esoteric because it's not about just the physical realm when we're talking, and that is exoteric, the physical realm. But when we're talking about this kind of eclipse and the changes it's going to make, we are all going to be really taking a look at who we consider to be part of our family. Okay, we're going to be taking a look at how is it that there are people in my family that aren't my blood relatives? How is it that I have people who are my blood relatives, but for whatever reason, we're barely like family? And maybe changing that. Changing that because we have a different idea of what we love, who we love, and our value system. Also recognize that sign of Gemini does represent siblings, business and trade and sales, commerce. That's Gemini energy, which is wonderful energy. If you're in the midst of a pandemic, it's like, I don't know how many new YouTubers there are. I can't tell you how many new people I've come into contact with on YouTube because they're, ever since the pandemic began, it was, okay, might as well vlog. I'm home. This is, let's do this. And it makes sense. And again, that's this, right? Social media, internet, blogging. Emotions, feelings, empathy, emotional satisfaction, emotional security. I want you in your chart, okay? Remember, if you don't have your chart, comment your stuff below. I can help you get that. I can help at least get you on the road to knowing what your rising sign is. And that will immensely change many things for you. You will definitely have a lot of clicks, like, holy crap, this resonates. And then once you have that, you can then listen to the rising sign readings that are done and have a general idea for free. Have a general idea for free of the incoming frequencies before they occur. Look where your moon is in your personal chart, okay? This, of course, are the transiting planets that we're looking at. But when we look at our own chart, our private personal planets are the location of the planets up in the sky at the moment of your physical birth. And so when you look to find your moon, that will then give you more information as to what's going to happen here. How all these planets traveling through the Cancer energy, it will tell you so much, especially about, because we have Mercury in Cancer right now. It'll give you more details as to what you're thinking about. So I'll give you an example. Let's pretend that this moon wasn't here, okay? Let's pretend that this is, so we'll say that this person right now has Cancer in their 4th house, right? and they have their moon in their natal chart in Scorpio energy. Well, as soon as you know what Scorpio energy is, that helps you to understand what's happening here. The moon is your emotions, all right? It's your feelings. It's what gives you emotional security. Well, if it's in Scorpio, Scorpio is about having really not just good relationships, but relationships that are really transformational. Transformational to the degree that they're deep. They're not these surfacey relationships. You know, there's those folks you have in your life that you can go and just hang out with. Folks you just go and play ball with. Folks you just connect with when you're on social media. Folks you go out and have a drink with. And then there's those folks where you feel comfortable having them in your home. You feel comfortable having a 2 or 3 or 4 hour conversation with them and really talking about important stuff, below the surface stuff that typically nobody else in your life knows. That's Scorpio energy. It's very deep, very deep. And normally, because Pluto is the ruler of Scorpio, normally you have that connection because they're people that you've connected with in other lives. Pluto is that ruler, right? Pluto is our soul. And so it's past life. And so you immediately feel this connection. And so when there's a connection like that, there's a security involved, right? There's this like, I can share this with this person. So for this person, right, if they had their moon in Scorpio, oh, wow, right? That would be just, it would be phenomenal for them because there'd be such emotional security, not only just connecting with family members, but people who they could consider a lot of folks' family that they were not related to by blood, right? Because they had the ability to connect with them in a really deep way, okay? And they would definitely call them family. They would definitely put them in the family bucket. And they'll be doing a lot of thinking about that, right? Maybe there are folks you've gotten close to, and sometimes this is happening a lot lately. We get really close to people, and we get so close, we overstep boundaries. It happens all the time because there gets to be, for whatever reason as humans, but we do this. When we get close to people, we increase our expectations of them in a way, and then at the same time, we lower our own boundaries, and then they lower their boundaries, or we overstep boundaries accidentally, and because they love you, they may not say anything, or they're immediately very forgiving, and then it happens again. And so there becomes this, that's happened too many times, and it can't happen anymore. And so there could be a reevaluation of that, because it's Mercury retrograding in the sign of Cancer. It's a reevaluation of who do I consider family. All right, it's a reevaluation of what do I need for my emotional security. And so this is all part of this eclipse, because this eclipse happens, yes, it happens on the 21st of June, but it will be growing. It will be changing. It will be developing like a fetus in the womb over the next year. The bigger picture, the macro meaning of the eclipse is understanding that whether you're two-legged, four-legged, all beings are our family, right? That there is only one race, the human race. We are all one. And that is the message for this eclipse energy. That is what we are going to be changing. And what I am going to do is attach the chart for the United States, because I really found it absolutely fascinating when I took the chart for the US and I put the June 21st eclipse as the transiting planets on the outside rim, and it was so crazy because there's first of all a buttload of stuff in Gemini in the United States chart, and there's some interesting things about the US's chart when we talk about their Cancer energy and the location of it. It explains so much. Actually, Gemini and Cancer, really, really just phenomenal understanding I gleaned from it. I am going to create that other video, and I'll put it as a part 2 to this so that it makes sense. For those who want to take a deeper dive, you can then watch the second video and really spend some time with it. And we are all evolving. There is a sense of community, camaraderie, acceptance. Be open to change, because remember, North Node going through Gemini. Gemini loves to change. It's mutable. And this is what we're going to be facing. All right. A lot of mutable things, thinking, new ways of thinking, because that is that Aries Gemini energy. And this eclipse is a cardinal eclipse, bottom line. And cardinal is a new beginning. That's what cardinal means, but taking action with this new beginning. We are all one. Bye.